Hi guys. Okay, hopefully this works. I don't think I'm sideways anymore. Let's check. Just checking. All right. No more sideways. Right side up. Hey guys. Hello. Welcome to Storytime Sunday. On this last day of June edition. Oh my goodness, tomorrow is July 1st. Where have these months gone? This is amazing to me. I can't believe tomorrow is already July. Wow. We'll give it just a few more minutes. Tonight I'm excited. We have a little bit longer story this evening, so I hope that you have some time to hang around. This one will probably be half hour, maybe 45 minutes, a little bit longer. Not that much longer though. This is one of my favorite books from when I was in elementary school. I used to borrow this from the library so many times that I'm pretty sure I ended up with it at one point, like in my possession. Hi, Pierre. But yes, I love this story. It's a twist on Sleeping Beauty, obviously. It's called Sleeping Ugly by Jane Yolen. And always loved this book. It's adorable. And has such a good moral. We're all about morals here on Storytime Sunday, as you can see. A lot of these books have very good morals. So, Beppy is over here. She says hello. She's listening in. She's very pensive right now. I wonder what she's thinking about. She's very pensive over there in the corner. Beppy is thinking deep thoughts. And she drank all of my Propel water. Beppy. Guess she was thirsty being by the window today. It has been kind of hot. She's thinking about something over there. We'll have to converse later, find out what's on her mind. We have, it's 8 o'clock. We'll give it just a few more minutes though. I know I just turned on the video, so just a few more minutes and then we'll get started. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Sunday. It rained all day here in Maine. All day. And this is the first time it's actually kind of nice out. I'll show you. This is the front yard of my house. And it's actually quite nice out right now. Salem was very fun, Pierre. Thank you. We had never been before, but we wanted to go down and check out all the witchy stuff. So we went to some museums. We learned a lot about the Salem witch trials and the history of Salem. Walked all over Essex Street. We saw some of the locations where Hocus Pocus was filmed. That made me happy. Ate at a Boston Burger Company, which, oh my goodness, if anybody's ever in Boston, take the time to find a Boston Burger Company restaurant because, ooh, they were good. They were very good. And they have these frappes, which are basically like ginormous shakes with crazy stuff stuck in them. Oh my goodness. So good. So good. But we also did a lot of walking. A lot of walking. So I don't feel too bad that I ate how terribly I ate. Maybe a little. All right, guys, it is 8 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with tonight's book. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, tonight's book is Sleeping Ugly by Jane Yolen. And again, this is one of my favorite books from when I was in elementary school. Sleeping Ugly by Jane Yolen. Pictures by Diane Stanley. Princess Miserella was a beautiful princess, if you counted her eyes and nose and mouth, and all the way down to her toes. But inside, where it was hard to see, She was the meanest, wickedest, and most worthless princess around. She liked stepping on dogs. She kicked kittens. She threw pies at the cook's face, and she never, not even once, said thank you or please. And besides, she told lies. Poor cook, look at that pie in her face. In the very same kingdom, in the middle of the woods, lived a poor orphan named Plain Jane. She certainly was. Her hair was short and turned down. Her nose was long and turned up. And even if they had been the other way around, she would not have been a great beauty. But she loved animals, and she was always kind to strange old ladies. One day, Princess Miserella rode out of the house in a huff. A huff is not a kind of a carriage. It's a kind of a temper tantrum, her usual kind. She rode and rode, looking beautiful as always, even with her hair in tangles. She rode right into the middle of the woods and was soon lost. She got off her horse and slapped it sharply for losing the way. The horse said nothing, but ran right back home. It had known the way back all the time, but it was not about to tell Miserella. So there was the princess, lost in a dark wood. It made her look even prettier. Suddenly, Princess Miserella tripped over a little old lady under a tree asleep. Now, little old ladies who sleep under trees, deep in a dark wood, are almost always fairies in disguise. Miserella guessed who the little old lady was, but she did not care. She kicked the old lady on the bottoms of her feet. "Get up and take me home," said the princess. So the little old lady got to her feet very slowly, for now the bottoms of her feet hurt. She took Miserella by the hand. She only used her thumb and second finger to hold Miserella's hand. Fairies know quite a bit about that kind of princess. They walked and walked, even deeper into the wood. There they found a little house. It was Plain Jane's house. It was dreary. The floors sank, the walls stank, the roof leaked, even on sunny days. But Jane made the best of it. She planted roses around the door, and little animals and birds made their home with her. It may have been why the floors sank and the walls stank, but no one complained. "This is not my home," said Miserella with a sniff. "Nor mine," said the fairy. They walked in without knocking, and there was Jane. "It is mine," she said. The princess looked at Jane, down and up and down. "Take me home," said Miserella, "and as a reward, I will make you my maid." Plain Plain Jane smiled, a thin little smile. It did not improve her looks or the princess's mood. "Some reward," said the fairy to herself. Aloud she said, "If you could take both of us home, I could squeeze probably a wish or two." "Make it 3, said Miserella to the fairy, "and I'll get us home." She is not a very nice princess, is she? Plain Jane smiled again. The birds began to sing. "My home is your home," said Jane. "I like your manners," said the fairy, "and for that good thought, I'll give the 3 wishes to you." Princess Miserella was not pleased. She stamped her foot. "Do that again," said the fairy, taking a pine wand from her pocket, "and I'll turn your foot into stone." Just to be mean, Miserella stamped her foot again. It turned to stone. Plain Jane sighed. "My first wish is that you change her foot back." The fairy made a face. "I like your manners, but not your taste," she said to Jane. "Still, a wish is a wish." The fairy moved the wand. The princess shook her foot and was no longer made of stone. "I guess my foot fell asleep for a moment," said Miserella. She really liked to lie. Besides, the princess said, that was a stupid way to waste a wish. The fairy was angry. "Do not call someone stupid unless you have been properly introduced," she said, "or are a member of the family." "Stupid, stupid, stupid," said Miserella. She hated to be told what to do. "Say stupid again," said the fairy, holding up her wand, "and I will make toads come out of your mouth." "Stupid!" shouted Miserella. As she said it, a great big toad dropped out of her mouth. "Aw, cute," said Jane, picking up the toad. "And I do like toads, but—" "But?" asked the fairy. Miserella did not open her mouth. Toads were among her least favorite animals. "But," said Plain Jane, "my second wish is that you get rid of the mouth toads." That's the name of my next band, the Mouth Toads. "She's lucky it wasn't mouth elephants," mumbled the fairy. She waved the pine wand. Miserella opened her mouth slowly. Nothing came out but her tongue. She pointed at the fairy. Princess Miserella looked miserable. That made her look beautiful too. "I definitely have had enough," she said. "I want to go home." She grabbed Plain Jane's arm. "Gently, gently," said the old fairy, shaking her head. "If you are not gentle with magic, none of us will go anywhere." "You can go where you want," said Miserella, "but there is only one place I want to go." "To sleep," said the fairy, who was now much too mad to remember to be gentle. She waved her wand so hard she hit the wall of Jane's house. The wall broke, the wand broke, the spell broke. And before Jane could make her third wish, all three of them were asleep. It was one of those famous 100-year naps that need a prince and a kiss to end them. So they slept and slept and slept. In the cottage in the wood, they slept through 3.5 wars, 1 plague, 6 new kings, the invention of the sewing machine, and the discovery of a new continent. The cottage was deep in the woods, so very few princes passed by, and none of the ones who did even tried the door. At the end of 100 years, a prince named Jojo, who was the youngest son of the youngest son, and so had no gold or jewels or property to speak of, came into the woods. It began to rain, so he stepped into the cottage over the broken wall. It's Jojo. He saw 3 women asleep, with spider webs holding them to the floor. One of them was a beautiful princess. Being the kind of the young man who read fairy tales, Jojo knew just what to do. But because he was the youngest son of the youngest son, with no gold or jewels or property to speak of, he had never kissed anyone before, except his mother, which didn't count, and his father, who had a beard. Jojo thought he should practice before he tried kissing the princess. He also wondered if she would like marrying a prince with no property or gold or jewels to speak of. Jojo knew with princesses that sort of thing really matters. So he puckered up his lips and kissed the old fairy on the nose. It was quite pleasant. She smelled slightly of cinnamon. He moved on to Jane. He puckered up his lips and kissed her on the mouth. It was delightful. She smelled of wildflowers. He moved on to the beautiful princess. Just then, the fairy and plain Jane woke up. Prince Jojo's kisses had worked. The fairy picked up the pieces of her wand. Jane looked at the prince and remembered the kiss as if it were a dream. "Ah, I wish he loved me," she said softly to herself. "Good wish," said the fairy to herself. She waved the 2 pieces of the wand gently. The prince looked at Miserella, who was having a bad dream and enjoying it. Even frowning, she was beautiful. But Jojo knew that kind of princess. He had 3 cousins just like her, pretty on the outside, ugly within. He remembered the smell of wildflowers and turned back to Jane. "I love you," he said. "What's your name?" So they lived happily ever after in Jane's cottage. The prince fixed the roof and the wall and built a house next door for the old fairy. They used the sleeping princess as a conversation piece when friends came to visit, or sometimes they stood her up, still fast asleep, in the hallway and let her hold coats and hats. but they never let anyone kiss her awake, not even their children, who numbered 3. The moral of the story: let sleeping princesses lie, or lying princesses sleep, whichever seems wisest. And there you go. Let sleeping princesses lie, or lying princesses sleep, whichever seems wisest. Thank you guys. I hope that you all enjoyed Storytime Sunday. Again, for those of you who missed the beginning of this, the book tonight was Sleeping Ugly by Jane Yolen. And the last time I read this book, I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade. And I used to borrow this from the library, and I wish this smelled like library. This is a brand new book, but this used to smell like library. And it had a little slip right inside here, and it had a plastic coating on the outside. But this was one of my favorite books to borrow when I was in elementary school. And it was funny because when I first thought of it, I guess it was a couple years ago, it popped into my memory, and I looked online to see if it still existed, and I found a copy. I almost expected it to have the same feel and smell as it did when I was in elementary school, but reading it and seeing the pictures definitely brings me back. So I hope that you guys have books like that as well, that sort of bring you back to another time in your life, because it's a cool experience. And for those of you youngins who are watching, when you get to be my age. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to utilize your local booksellers and shop locally for all of your books. It's a great way to get those books in hand and to look at them and feel them and smell them, because that's the cool thing about books. They're so tangible. And to be able to go into a local bookstore and look through them and feel them and touch them is an experience all its own. So utilize your local booksellers. Thank you to my local bookseller, Briar Patch Books, who gives us books for this show and is a huge support in our community. And that's it. So I will see you guys next Sunday. I don't know what I'm reading next Sunday because I actually have to go visit my friends at Briar Patch to get some new books. And they just came back from back-to-back conferences about new books. So we might have some brand new material to read in the next couple weeks. So thank you again. I'm going to turn this off so all of you just joining me can start the story from the beginning. I'm seeing Lena. Lena, do you remember this book? It was in North Orrington School's library. You might not have, because I think I always had it. I think I always checked this book out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the book. And I'll see you next Sunday on Storytime Sunday. Keep being creative. Bye, guys.